All right, welcome in guys to another video on my channel. I'm gonna go over one tip that will help you get closer to living a porn-free life. And a quick disclaimer, there's like no one tip that will overcome this whole entire addiction that you have right now. No matter what anybody says, no matter what anybody promises, there's no one tip, there's no one strategy, there's no one solution. I hate to break it to you, but it's just not true at all. But this one tip will help you tremendously on your porn-free journey, and it will help prepare you for a life long free from pornography and masturbation. So that one tip is to not focus on trying to overcome a temptation or an urge.
What?
And let me get into it a little bit more. A lot of people think that, the number one way to quit this addiction is to stop temptation, is to stop that feeling, that urge, that craving of wanting to go back to pornography and masturbation. But that is really the furthest thing from the truth. I believe the main thing that we should be focusing on is not even facing that battle to begin with, right? Not even having that temptation, not even having that craving to begin with. And to minimize the amount of temptation, the amount of urges that we get on our porn-free journey. Now, what does that truly mean? In the TRF program and with my private clients, the first thing that we go over, the very first thing we go over is deleting social media. That's a tip in itself, right? But deleting social media will help us to not get temptation. It'll help us to not get cravings. It'll help us to really keep our mind clear from all this stuff that's going on within the world. And when we look at, IG models, when we look at these TV shows, when we listen to this music filled with lust that the world tries to push on us, it's giving you temptation. Maybe not in that moment in itself, but a little bit later on, you start to think about more lustful things. One thing leads to another, and you go back to pornography and you relapse. And you ask yourself, why did I do that? You have to watch out for the content that you actually are consuming. That is the number one tip I want to give you guys today. Stop trying to face a battle that you don't even have to face to begin with. Right. So delete social media, get off that lustful music that you keep on listening to, get off these TV shows like Game of Thrones, for example, that is very lustful. Get off all these lustful TV shows, right? Do not feed your mind anything that has to do with pornography, right? And it amazes me because a lot of guys, they say they want to quit pornography, but then you look at who they're following and it's just a bunch of, IG models, right? A whole bunch of, girls who are attractive, but how is that going to benefit you at all? It's just going to keep on weighing you down and weighing you down and weighing you down. And even if you look at that IG model and you're like, I didn't relapse though, it's still feeding that lustful side of you. And eventually later on, you're going to get a temptation. You're going to get a thought. You're going to, get into these fantasies and then you will relapse later on. So yes, it's not affecting you in that moment, but you're feeding that side of you that wants to go back to pornography and masturbation and it's still a slave to lust. Think about this to yourself. What are ways that you can avoid even having this craving to begin with? For me, I relapsed a lot back in my day when I was still struggling with pornography and masturbation during the nighttime. So what would I do, right? I would have a technology hard stop an hour before going to bed because that was my most vulnerable time. And I replaced that activity not with something like watching TV or Netflix or giving me like access to technology, right? But I filled it with reading books. I filled it with journaling, right? And things that will actually help me improve my life. So that's just an example, right? So if there's ever a time in the day, and I promise you that there is, if you're truly addicted to pornography, there's points when you're most vulnerable. And if you can identify the points where you're most vulnerable throughout the day or throughout the week, right? Maybe you have Mondays off, or maybe you have Sundays off, Saturdays off, the weekends are off. Find out things that you can do throughout that day so that you no longer get put in a vulnerable position where you can go to pornography. Example, if you don't have a lot to do on Mondays, for example, because you have the day off, don't go about a Monday like you would always do when you used to relapse. Fill that time, right? Go to the gym, self-improvement. If you're a Christian man of faith, go into the Bible, get more connected. Try to fill your time with things so that you no longer are put in these vulnerable positions. One other thing that I really want to suggest for you guys as well is actually putting your phone on black and white. And what this will do, and I know it sounds ridiculous, but what this will do is it will help you go on your phone less. It will help you go on social media less. It will help you, go to these random websites less, right? Because even if you delete social media, right, the world is still full of pornography. And you go to random websites and pornography is everywhere, right? But when you have your phone on black and white, it's scientifically, right? And I'm not like a scientist or anything like that. It's just, this has just worked for me, right? And this has worked for the hundreds of clients that we've worked with as well. When you have your phone on black and white, it doesn't click for you as much as it does when it's colored, right? And these social media websites and apps, right? They're very strategic on the way that they color their apps, right? Instagram is very colorful. It's very like appealing to click on, because the more you click on it, the more you can view the content that Instagram has, and the more ads they can show to you, which makes them a lot more money, right? So you have to think about it from their perspective too. So yeah, come up with ways so that you can no longer even have the craving to begin with. I want to give you another disclaimer though. You will have temptation. You will have temptation, or you will have urges and cravings to go back to pornography. That's normal. That's just the way the recovery process is always going to be, no matter what you do. There's no magic pill. You have to go through it yourself. But there are ways to minimize the amount of temptation that we can have. And that is one of the many goals that we have within the TRF program and within quitting pornography. So look to minimize the amount of temptation that you have, and only get it to a point where you have temptations that are, I don't want to say natural, but just happen because you're quitting an addiction, right? But if you're having a lot of temptation that is kind of forced on you, such as going to social media, such as watching a TV show that you know that you shouldn't, such as going into music, going into random websites that, like Reddit, for example, that aren't technically porn websites or Twitter, but actually have porn in their, website, right? And we know this, but we just still keep on doing it for some reason. So it just blows my mind that people are trying to quit pornography, but they don't do everything in their possibility to quit. So that is the tip of the day. If you're serious about quitting pornography, look to eliminate ways that give you temptation. And it sounds very simple, but we just don't do it. And I hope this encourages you to actually do that yourself. One last thing as well before I let you go. If you need more help on your porn-free journey and you're looking to take things to the next level, go ahead and message me on Instagram. Go over to my Instagram. The link will be down in the description, right? You can go over there. Message me the word YouTube so that I know where you came from and I know what you're talking about. Message me the keyword YouTube over on my Instagram, and I'll go ahead and give you advice, give you some practical tips, and see if there's any way that I can help you out even further within your porn-free journey so that you can eventually quit this for the rest of your life, go the rest of your life without it, and transform your life. So that's it from me. I'll go ahead and see you guys in the next video.